Okay, so I'm here to tell you about a game, the game of rugby. This funny game with this odd-shaped ball, and I like to think that this game has superpowers, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about that. But like all good stories, it starts a long, long time ago. And it starts in a land of dragons. And that land is Wales, the land I grew up in. The land, as a 10-year-old, I first picked up a rugby ball and was a terror of the field. At least in my imagination, I thought I was a terror of the field. But I loved that game as a 10-year-old, in the mud, in the field, having amazing fun. You see, I wasn't much of a school goer. I never really got on with school life, what school was all about. But I loved rugby. And I didn't play it to any great level, but I loved the game. I enjoyed the game. I had a passion for the game of rugby. And like all good stories, we move on. And as a very, very lucky 18-year-old, I was lost, didn't have much to do, but I had an amazing chance. I got to join Britain's diplomatic service. As a spotty, nervous 18-year-old, I jumped on a train and set off for London. I didn't have much of an idea what was going to happen, not much of a clue, but I had a future ahead of me that I could never have imagined. And then I find myself, some 15 years later, in Calcutta as a British diplomat. The diplomatic life, a salary that goes into the bank every month without fail, the chance to go on holiday wherever I wanted, whenever I wanted, cocktails in smart hotels, the diplomatic life. Don't ever let anybody tell you that life as a diplomat isn't, to a certain extent, glamorous. It can be very boring, but it also has some magical moments. And one morning I'm sitting in my office, in the usual position, in front of a computer, working out spreadsheets and how things are going to run, and a colleague walks in. Paul, do you remember that conversation we had last night? Not really. You're going to teach us all how to play rugby. And what? Yes, you said you're going to teach us. You're going to teach me, you're going to teach the drivers, the guards of the High Commission, how to play rugby. And what? I said what? I don't remember that. I must have been mad or perhaps a little bit drunk. That definitely wasn't the case. Jump forward to 2004, and the Jungle Crows are born. We teach our drivers, we teach the guards, we teach anybody who's interested in playing about rugby. Calcutta's an amazing place. It's an amazing city. If you've visited, you know the sporting passion that the city has. Within weeks of arriving, my bank manager took me to watch a Mohun Bagan East Bengal Derby football match. Crazy atmosphere, absolutely electric. I was watching horse racing on the Maidan, Queen Elizabeth Cup, but the sport that captured my imagination back then was the game of rugby, the game I had played all those years ago, the game I'd been passionate about ever since. And 2004, sitting in the office, a crazy idea becomes the Jungle Crows. This is me with some of the young guys who were the first players. Let's jump forward again. November 2018, and I'm in Bhubaneswar, a city I've visited a lot since I've been living in India. This time for my most glamorous assignment yet. Real top level of glamour. I'm involved in making a movie. A sports director from Florida, a producer from Hollywood, and a genuine Bollywood star, Abhay Deol. And this movie tells an incredible story. In 2007, a group of children from the Kalinga Institute of Social Sciences, a school for tribal children just 15 minutes from here, were selected to play in a rugby tournament. They'd never played rugby before. Myself and a couple of coaches, we came backwards and forwards from Bhubaneswar and started to teach those children to play. The movie I was part of was telling that story, and how after first picking up a rugby ball, 3 months later they were in London. They were playing in a final against South Africa, and they won. The superpower of rugby was stirring. And while we were the early days of the Jungle Crows, coming backwards and forwards to Bhubaneswar from Calcutta, teaching children here to play, teaching children in Calcutta to play, I could feel some magic happening. Sport is an amazing tool. I think everybody would agree. The evidence tells us that growing up as a healthy, active young person, much more active and healthy than me, I have to admit, is incredibly healthy for a young child to grow up. It helps with your cardiovascular fitness, it helps your muscles, your tendons to grow, and it has other benefits. An active lifestyle helps in concentration, can help with academic achievement. Sport is an incredible catalyst for so many things, and we should all take time out to play, to help us in our hectic, busy schedules that can drive us to distraction day in, day out. This is one of our first tournaments. I'm hiding behind somebody just to help to try and make me look a bit slimmer, which has been a kind of aspect of my life ever since. We found some street children. Don Bosco Ashaliam, fantastic NGO in Calcutta, street children, friend Christophe from France. He started to bring those children along to join our club. Children would encounter us on the Maidan, and we'd always try to involve them, include them, show them how good fun rugby could be. And I suppose these weren't A-grade students. If you know Calcutta, you know the Maidan. These young people walking across every evening, they're not good students. Often they're school dropouts. They're not motivated by school. They're not motivated by anything. And I suppose I felt a connection with them because I was that 16-year-old who wasn't interested in school, did just enough to pass exams and prevent my parents harassing me too much. And I had got this incredible lucky break, an incredible break. And I wondered how these children would get their break, where their luck would come from. And I felt across our generations, across our culture, I felt an incredible connection to those young people. I felt incredibly motivated to help them. If we jump to 2018, 1,000 children on the Calcutta Maidan on Christmas Day. The power of the game, the power of rugby, this odd-shaped ball, motivating and bringing children towards us. This was the 14th year of our winter camp. We started back in our very early days just to wake up a few children who were playing with us, get them out of bed during their school winter holiday, motivate them a bit, save them from sitting idle all day. 40 or 50 youngsters running around the Maidan having fun. And that's grown in the years to now 1,000 children in Calcutta. We had 2,000 children across India, 28 consecutive mornings, 15,000 breakfasts, 30,000 bananas eaten. Something incredible and something incredibly motivating. And the blooming, the blossoming of the superpower. I'd like to share a couple of stories of young people that have found their way with this odd-shaped ball. The first, this lad has a nickname, he's known as Tiger. He was a school dropout, studied to, class 6 or 7, then dropped out. And one day he was brought along to rugby practice by his friend Zaffer, now his mentor Zaffer. Didn't have much going on in his life, but he loved rugby. He excelled at it. He had speed, he had commitment, he was fearless. Tiger now lives in Bangalore. He's a personal trainer. He earns a 6-figure salary. He looks after young athletes himself, goes out every morning and trains. And in fact, just this morning, I saw on social media that he'd won the Bangalore CrossFit Games. So he's an amazing example of the power of the game. This is Sandhya. This is her playing for India. She was the captain of the India under-18 team last year, and her background is very different from Tiger. Tiger grew up in central Calcutta, came from the wrong part of town, if you like. Sandhya comes from a very rural village. We worked in that village for the last 5 years, taken up a project to support education, taken the children in that project from having pass rates at class 10 and 12 of under 20% to now more than 80%. Sandhya's gone on to captain India at under-18s, and the last tournament she was in Bhubaneswar, Kalinga Stadium, in November, Asian Championships. An amazing achievement. She now lives in Calcutta, from a very, very rural village in northern Bengal, now lives in Calcutta and is at college studying. Our winter camp and the work that we do is all about being led by the children we work with. At the core of everything we do, as a rugby organisation, as a small organisation, I'm passionate that we should work for the children, work with the children. So everything we do has to be led by them. Our winter camp is fully organised by the children. So in Calcutta, that's 10 mornings, 1,000 children every morning who have to be brought safely, taken home safely, fed, have an entertaining time. And that planning starts 3 months before and is undertaken by the children themselves, the young coaches who play rugby and are finding their own passion, their own superpower through the game. Superhero, rugby ball, small child. That's what it's all about. I've been lucky to learn a lot about the power of sport, the power of rugby. In the USA, they've made a film about this. It's called Forever Strong. Larry Gelwicks, he's a coach from the USA with one of our players, Pritam. And he says, it's not about rugby, it's about young men. It's not about building a championship team, it's about building championship boys. Boys who will be forever strong. That's the superpower. Sport gives you so much. The power to change the world. Nelson Mandela, Rugby World Cup. Power to inspire, power to unite. It speaks to youth in a language they understand. Can create hope where once there was only despair. The power of the game, the power of sport, is incredibly motivating to me, and it's incredibly motivating to the young people who I encounter, who find a passion, an ambition, a belief that they can achieve anything because they have that drive. So final words has to be for the children who play, who are now beginning their journey, who I work with day in, day out, to grow up with this rugby ball, this odd-shaped ball. Find a passion for it, find their own inner drive. To find the passion I found as a lost 16-year-old in Wales, to find the passion that Tiger and Sandhya have found, and to become superheroes themselves. Thank you.